When the transmission arrived, it was not a request. It was a proclamation broadcast across every major frequency known to the outer systems. The Empire's emblem burned across the dark, a mark of dominance etched in gold light. Their message was clear. Earth was to surrender. Its colonies, its fleets, its independence, all were to bend to the imperial throne. The reason, as always, was order. They declared that the human race had expanded too far, spread too quickly, and must now be integrated into the hierarchy of the stars. For days no reply came. The Empire mistook silence for fear. Their admirals boasted of victory before a single shot was fired. Their analysts projected surrender timetables. They even dispatched occupation vessels toward the Sol region, confident the species that once hid behind its blue planet would kneel. But the silence was not submission. It was calculation. In hidden sectors beyond the mapped hyperlanes, enormous constructs drifted in the dark. Their hulls absorbed starlight until they seemed like moving shadows, each the size of a small continent. They carried no registration codes, no diplomatic signatures. Only one mark existed upon their armor, a black insignia shaped like a broken chain. The Black Fleet. It had never been acknowledged in any Earth Council report. No public broadcast spoke of it. It was whispered about among distant miners and traders who claimed to have seen black shapes crossing nebulae without lights, leaving only ripples of distorted space in their wake. When the Empire's ultimatum reached the Solar Authority, the decision was swift. The message was rerouted to a secure command archive buried beneath the lunar surface. There, the old protocols awakened. Silent alarms flashed across deep vaults where dormant ships had slept for generations. Engines once considered theoretical flared to life. A fleet that was never meant to exist began to move. The Empire's first ships entered the outer system with arrogance. Their formation stretched wide. Banners of gold and crimson displayed across their hulls. They expected to find primitive defenses, perhaps a few orbital platforms, a handful of outdated cruisers, and frightened humans waving white signals. Instead, their sensors detected nothing. The system seemed empty. Even Earth's local satellites had gone dark. Admiral Corvin, commanding the Imperial Task Force, dismissed the unease spreading among his officers. He ordered the fleet to advance. Massive carriers drifted closer toward the orbit of Neptune, launching probes into the void. Each probe vanished seconds after launch. The readings returned were static, scrambled, or impossible. One probe showed an empty starfield, then flickered to black as if something vast had swallowed it whole. Then the void spoke. It was not a message in any known frequency. It was a single tone that resonated across every sensor, every communication relay, every neural link in the Imperial ships. It was low, steady, almost mechanical. Yet within that vibration was intent, a warning. Moments later, the space behind the Imperial fleet shimmered. Distortions appeared like ripples on a pond. Out of those ripples emerged forms darker than night itself. Titanic vessels that carried no light yet gleamed faintly as stars bent around their hulls. The Empire's officers froze. There were hundreds of them, then thousands, each one identical in purpose and precision. The Black Fleet had arrived. Their configuration was unlike any the Empire had ever recorded. No bridges were visible, no weapon turrets exposed. The hulls seemed smooth, but their presence pressed on the senses like a weight. Even the void seemed quieter around them. The Empire attempted communication, demanding identification and intentions. The response came as a single phrase, transmitted on every Imperial channel simultaneously. Earth does not surrender. The Empire opened fire. Beams of radiant plasma and concentrated antimatter surged toward the shadow ships. Yet as the light struck, it vanished, swallowed by invisible fields. The Black Fleet moved without sound or recoil. Then came their answer. From the lead vessel, a ripple spread through space. It looked harmless at first, a faint distortion like heat rising off metal. But when it touched the Imperial front line, entire cruisers disintegrated silently. No explosion, no flame, just sudden nothingness. The fleet's command arrays overloaded, trying to comprehend what weapon had been used. Within minutes, Imperial formation collapsed. Battleships collided as their gravity compensators failed. Carriers screamed distress signals, begging for extraction. The Black Fleet did not pursue. It simply advanced, unhurried, inevitable. Admiral Corvin's flagship turned to flee. Yet, as it accelerated, sensors detected a shadow matching its movement precisely. It was behind them, above them, below them, impossible to pinpoint. Then a voice came through the ship's internal comms. Not a human voice, Not synthetic either. It was something else. Leave our skies. And with that, the Imperial flagship vanished from every record. When the surviving ships limped back toward the Empire's frontier, they carried tales their leaders refused to believe. They spoke of weapons that erased energy itself, of black hulls immune to analysis, of an enemy that did not speak of vengeance or conquest but only protection. The Empire declared the encounter an anomaly, a localized defense network. They sent a larger armada. The second incursion involved over 2,000 ships. This time they arrived in full combat configuration, prepared for total warfare. Yet even before they reached the outer system, their navigation systems failed. The hyperlane itself twisted. Coordinates changed. They emerged not near Neptune but in an unknown region surrounded by dark energy fields. In that false space, the Black Fleet awaited. The Imperial commander tried to establish a formation, but gravity vectors shifted. Distances became illusions. One ship appeared a kilometer away only to collide with another that had seemed distant. Time itself wavered. The humans had turned the battlefield into a trap of folded space. Within an hour, the second armada was gone. This time, the Empire could not hide the loss. Data packets escaped before the final collapse, and every major power in the galaxy saw the evidence. The Black Fleet moving like a storm, dismantling star destroyers as if they were made of glass. Humanity's silence had become the loudest roar the galaxy had ever heard. Across hundreds of worlds, old assumptions crumbled. Civilizations that had once mocked Earth's stubborn independence now sent envoys in haste, offering treaties and apologies. Yet no reply ever came. The humans remained unseen, their transmissions minimal, their presence mythic. In the deep halls of the Empire's capital, panic took root. Councils debated retaliation, surrender, or isolation. Scholars studied the fragments of data that survived, trying to understand what technology could make entire fleets vanish. They found no answers. Only one consistent detail appeared in every recovered scan: the broken chain insignia. It became a symbol of terror. Rumors spread that the Black Fleet was not built by humanity, but by something older, something that humanity had awakened beneath its oceans or moons. Others whispered it was the result of a pact, human engineers merging artificial intelligence with cosmic phenomena. Yet among the few humans who knew the truth, there was no myth. The fleet was theirs, born from desperation, perfected in silence and guided by one unspoken law. Never again would Earth be threatened. Years passed, and the Empire dared not send another force. Trade routes shifted around human space. Border patrols turned away at the faintest sign of black-hulled vessels. Even mentioning Earth in diplomatic councils became taboo. Then came the signal. A simple burst of data transmitted from the edge of the Orion sector. It was not a threat. It was a message directed to every listening post, every Empire station. Earth remembers. The meaning was debated endlessly. Some thought it a warning of renewed expansion. Others believed it was a promise of peace. Yet the Empire's leadership understood. It was neither. It was a declaration of endurance. Humanity was not retreating. It was watching. Scouts who ventured near the Sol boundary reported strange phenomena. Whole constellations seemed to shift as though massive shapes drifted between stars. Long-range sensors captured fleeting images of black reflections moving silently across nebulae. None dared approach closer. Then, one night on a distant outpost orbiting a red dwarf star, the impossible happened. The Empire's communication grid lit up with distress beacons. An unknown armada was approaching from beyond the mapped sectors. It was not human. It was something else entirely. Vast, crystalline entities consuming matter and light alike. Worlds fell in hours. Empire fleets disintegrated before they could react. The invaders advanced without pause, devouring planets and leaving only hollow space. As the Empire's core worlds prepared for annihilation, they did something unthinkable. They sent a transmission toward Earth. They begged for help. For 3 days, no answer came. The crystalline entities breached the Imperial border, unstoppable. Cities vanished. Systems went silent. And then the stars themselves dimmed. Across the void, the shadows returned. The Black Fleet appeared not in the Empire's skies, but around them, encircling the attackers in perfect formation. Without communication, without warning, they unleashed a storm of light so intense it bent reality itself. The invaders shattered like glass under invisible pressure. Their fragments were drawn into singularities that vanished one by one. When the battle ended, not a trace of the crystalline threat remained. The Empire's surviving ships floated silently,